This is the CineSnob Podcast.
Welcome to episode 192 of the CineSnob Podcast. I'm Jared Kingery.
I'm Cody Viafania.
And I'm Jocelyn and Jerrod.
Right there, I accidentally pulled my headphones out a little bit, so I was like dead in the water hearing. So that was fun. How is everyone today? Jocelyn, you're very cheetah-y, Dalmatian-y.
Oh, you can see me? I thought I was camouflaged with my cheetah print.
What's in your house that looks like a cheetah that you'd be camouflaged against?
My microphone. Can't see my microphone because it's.
You should hold it up like that, like it's like you're singing like crazy.
Yo. Oh, look at that! It's a blue day.
What is that?
It's a pen.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these.
But I couldn't tell what it was. By the way, that was a great impression of a rapper or
Thank
whatever
you.
that was supposed to be.
Yeah, really authentic.
But is that a column outside your window? What is that?
It's another house.
Oh.
It's my neighbor.
Oh, okay.
They're very close.
Yeah, less exciting than that.
That's what happens in neighborhoods, Cody. Your house
Suburbia.
Are close. I mean, you're in an apartment, so you're next door to someone, right? I assume.
I mean, yeah, that's
In
how
theory?
apartments
In
work.
theory? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm in one single apartment by itself in the complex.
Are you still in that same apartment complex where Favor can't find you or whatever?
Yeah, it's improved, but yes, I am. But it was a hassle for a very long time. There's an apartment complex right next door, and they used to. I've had Favor deliveries brought to the wrong complex, and then that was just it. I just didn't get food that day.
So someone got someone's food just randomly?
Yeah. Someone on the apartment complex over got my breakfast tacos on multiple occasions.
So what did they do? Did they give you a refund or what?
Yeah, they just replaced the order for me, and
Oh.
and I had to wait another half hour or whatever.
You know, I think I dropped a poster off at your apartment once.
Yes.
I'm not gonna say what I wrote on the outside of the tube, but suffice it to say, I implied it was a sex toy of some sort. But,
Yes. And you also, I could now not use that tube anymore. So you ruined a tube. Which the irony is, you've needed them, and you wasted one on a sick joke.
Well, I didn't waste it because I was going to leave it in a tube anyway.
That's true.
But it's poster stuff, Jocelyn. Sorry,
That's okay. I'm just looking at my buddy and Alf having a weird standoff over your shoulder.
That's an Alf mask. If you like, I can put it on and do the show in an Alf mask.
I think that sounds great.
What kind of role playing were you doing in there before this started?
Well, I was intimidating my cats because Alf eats cats. So
That's true.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of Alf, I don't know.
Yeah?
No. Speaking of Alf, he's an alien, and there's a bunch of new Marvel and Star Wars movies about aliens.
That's a
that
D
works.
plus transition
No, that
segue.
works.
By the way, there's an Alf. What's the new show from?
By the way, Jocelyn's marveling at your collection back there. That's how you do a segue.
Thank you.
But you just used the same word.
Yeah.
It's like when people rhyme a word with the same word.
No, it's nothing like that.
Like
That's apples and oranges.
it's Marvel because it's from marveling. Like
But you're using it. You're using it in two different ways, which is the point of a pun.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Get thee to a punnery, Cody.
All I'm saying is that was a 4.
Damn, harsh.
What was Jared's?
I was garbage. I'm not even. I don't even care. It was garbage.
Jared's didn't even show up on the scale.
Yes, it did not.
Didn't even register.
Wait, so yeah, that was his segue, right? Into the Marvel.
We're
universe.
talking about Marvel and Star Wars news.
And
so
Disney.
And Disney. I mean, but it's the bulk of this is Marvel and Star Wars.
Sure.
Which are owned by Disney. So at the Disney investors meeting, there was an announcement, a dozen or so different series and movies coming out for mostly Disney Plus. Cody, do you have a particular favorite that stuck out to you?
No, I mean, so basically the idea was that what they said was that 10 Marvel properties or TV shows and 10 Star Wars TV shows would be coming to Disney Plus within the near future. And I think most of the Marvel stuff was relatively known, except for there was like the Don Cheadle,
a War
Machine's getting a show.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn's character from Captain Marvel, which that's probably the thing I'm most excited about. Because
you love yourself some Ben Mendelsohn.
I do love.
Yeah.
I have a Disney Plus 1 year anniversary key.
Oh, what does it open?
The
Disney Vault.
Yeah, it's like there's Song of the South.
Restaurant. What is it? Restaurant 41. Is that what it's called?
Club 33.
Thank you.
I
knew what I was talking about.
Restaurant 41 is the one at like Six Flags, like Restaurant 41, whatever. Come on in.
Club 33.
That was weirdly close and weirdly not at all close.
So far away, so close and so far.
Anyway, so there's a bunch of new Marvel shows. There was a lot of trailers. Falcon and Winter Soldier. The first look at Loki, where I believe one segment he's acting as DB Cooper, which we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you get your first look at. I think maybe the first time I've ever seen Owen Wilson not look exactly like Owen Wilson. Like
He just had a mustache.
No, he had gray hair that was short.
Oh, I thought I couldn't tell it was gray. I thought it was just
he
blonde.
had gray. He looked like John Slattery in the Marvel movies.
I haven't seen him in forever.
Who, Owen Wilson?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
He kind of dropped off a little bit.
Yeah, he had some, I think, personal issues.
He had a suicide attempt.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was like 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, it was when Marley and Me came out.
And then he had like a paternity thing that was going on, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Personal things.
But Luke Wilson is in one of those DC shows, so it was only right for Owen Wilson to be in a Marvel show.
Well, Luke is by far the better of the Wilson brothers.
Luke Wilson, you think so?
That is an odd opinion.
Really?
You think Luke Wilson is better? Like how? Is it better
in all ways?
Which did you prefer? Did you see Bottle Rocket?
Yes, of course. I've seen all Wes Anderson movies, except for The French Dispatch, which is still on hiatus.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
Yeah,
that's the new one, right?
Yeah, I don't think it has a release date as of. I
never saw The Life Aquatic just because it didn't look like.
Oh, I saw it at the Alamo Draft House with like the beanie on and the whole thing. Yeah.
It seemed like a little too affected Wes Anderson.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you just have to dive into that one though.
The one I disliked the most was the Darjeeling Limited.
Oh, really? I think that's a beautiful movie.
It's fine.
I think it's so pretty.
And I didn't care for Moonrise Kingdom.
You're crazy.
But I really liked Fantastic Mr. Fox. And what's the Grand Budapest Hotel is great. Mm-hmm. The skiing scene is my.
Even when he's not great, it's good, you know?
Yeah. But anyway, we're talking about Marvel stuff here. And,
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Have either of you? Oh, okay, so the Marvel stuff, we've been waiting for the TV shows to come out forever. There's also a ton of Star Wars series announced for Disney Plus. Have either of you been watching The Mandalorian?
Off and on. I've seen a couple episodes.
How have you been watching it off and on?
Like I'll catch.
Is your husband watching it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's like it's a streaming thing, so you'd have to just put it on.
It gives me anxiety because I worry about little baby Goju. Is that his name?
Grogu is his name. Goju.
You know, I was going to save it up for the end of season 2, and then Jerry and Eddie from the other podcast I do convinced me that I needed to be familiarized with Clone Wars and Rebels. And then I looked at Clone Wars the other day, and it had references to the prequels, and I've never seen the prequels, so now I'm going back.
I haven't either. I haven't seen the prequels.
And I'm in the process of watching The Phantom Menace right now, and it's...
Oh, wow.
It is somehow worse than advertised so far.
Yeah.
I have a very nostalgic fondness for The Phantom Menace. I know it's not a good movie, though. It's the problems that people talk about are there 100%. But let me tell you, Attack of the Clones is worse
So
That's what
Phantom
I've
Menace
heard.
is first, and then Attack of the Clones, right?
than Revenge of the Sith.
I've seen the Revenge of the Sith. I saw the third one because that's the one with Natalie Portman when she has the twins, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that being Luke Skywalker and
I don't want to give it away.
I mean, I know. I mean, I know that. Like, I'm aware that is part of it.
By the way, you should never really watch them in numerical order because
Right.
it doesn't. Because it's like then you lose the element of surprise that the originals had. If you can still be surprised by movies that have
That's a good
absolutely saturated the
tip.
pop culture.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But I mean, like, so I'm maybe like halfway through the Phantom Menace, and like, again, Jar Jar Binks worse than advertised. Like,
No, that's the main reason I don't want to watch it because of Jar Jar.
By the way, that's Jar Jar Binks on that.
Are you a
inflatable Mountain Dew can? No, I don't have any. I have no apologies for anything. I mean, I'm telling you, it was a
for Jar
to
Jar?
be. No. I mean, it's terribly written character, and I feel it's one of those things that I feel terrible about for the actor, Ahmed Best, because he was ostracized because of it, as was Jake. What is his name?
the Anakin, Jake Lloyd.
Jake Lloyd. There you go. I mean, he was driven into like out of the business for it.
Well, and I think Natalie Portman had some problems for a while too.
She was. I remember
she's
her
so
being
bad in the first one. God damn.
She's bad in the second one too. She's not very good in any of them. And this is one of the things I was talking about with Cody when you mentioned the Phantom Menace, is that this is back when people didn't really know how to act around things that weren't really there.
Right. Like in a green
it really threw a bunch of people off. And now it's kind of standard practice, but because to a point in these major giant pictures, but listen to me. In these pictures, kid. So what am I trying to say here? Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, no, I'm not an apologist. It's just that it was such a huge deal in 1999 when these movies were released that it was. I mean, it was. You think Star Wars saturation was here now? Like back then, it was just you were being bombarded with Jar Jar Binks. So that's a promotional Mountain Dew inflatable can that was at grocery stores and has Jar Jar Binks on it.
Let me just say, Misa embarrassed for everyone involved.
Oh wow!
When it comes to this,
I mean, do I think it's intentionally racist? I don't think it's intentionally racist, but it is definitely racist.
Jar Jar is just a movie in general, because every single person like voicing a character in this movie is doing the most racist version of something, of whatever it's representing. It's wild, actually.
And I don't think it was intentionally racist, but yes, it comes definitely very much across as racist. Anyway, so we were talking about Star Wars shows. So neither of you have really watched The Mandalorian. They've already announced 2 direct spinoffs of The Mandalorian, that being one starring Ahsoka Tano of who was a Jedi in the Clone Wars, etc. That stars Rosario Dawson. And there's Rangers of the New Republic, which also stars Gina Carano. Is that how you say it?
I'm surprised they're not severing ties there.
She's a crazy person on Twitter, but yeah.
I can't wait to go look that up.
She's like an anti-masker. I mean, it's people. I don't know. This is we didn't talk about Letitia Wright. Doing the anti-vax thing a couple weeks ago, but like, just stop. You don't need to tweet. You're a celebrity. Just stop. You don't need to be on Twitter. Like, if you're gonna be on Twitter, like, just be funny or be weird.
Right.
Like,
or just promote your shit. Just like
yeah. If you're a comedian, make jokes. I mean, even that's not necessarily 100% foolproof, but just. You don't need to be on social media. You don't need to share your goddamn shitty opinions. And then
First Amendment right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, stick to Parlay for that shit.
Yeah. Boy, I bet Parlay was lit this weekend. So there was several other shows announced. I can't recall them off the top of my head.
Oh, there was the Diego Luna's character from Rogue
that show
One.
that was announced a while ago, but I think we saw the first footage from it.
Yeah.
And then the finally Obi-Wan Kenobi series confirmed with Hayden Christensen returning as Darth Vader.
God, that is too many shows. That's crazy.
It's nuts. But it is a very clear symbol that Disney is going way all in on Disney Plus.
Which they had said that they had pivoted to streaming, and previously you didn't quite know. I mean, you saw the Marvel shows, but this is like a true showing of, they're dumping everything into it. I mean, it's a full commitment at this point.
And I think one of the biggest surprises for me was an announcement that Patty Jenkins, director of the 2 Wonder Woman movies, and was it 13 all those years ago?
What? No, didn't she do Hurt Locker?
No, that's Catherine.
You're right.
Patty Jenkins did Monster, the
Monster.
Charlize
That's what it was.
Picture.
The picture. Charlize Theron. That she's doing a Rogue Squadron movie, which is the X-wing group that Luke Skywalker was part of. Which was you sent me her tweet about it, and I was watching it, and I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
Until the very end, it reveals an X-wing. So, and then we got some Taika Waititi, like strange sort of concept art. Did you notice that? I
didn't see the art.
There's not really anything other than the Star Wars logo, but rendered really sort of comically. I guess it's a different sort of logo. Anyway, lots of stuff coming to Disney Plus. But neither of you have watched any of it, so I'm kind of alone over here.
Hey, I've watched a little bit of it. I was surprised to see Amy Sedaris in Mandalorian.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of comedians in The Mandalorian. That's like great. Horatio Sands is in the first episode. Brian Posehn is in the first episode.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Bill Burr has a recurring role now. Yeah.
That's like you took a bunch of random names and just...
Who else?
I said is Gallagher in there.
Gallagher is not yet. I hear he's in season 3.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Timothy Oliphant is in it. It's just a crazy. It's a crazy. It's so entertaining, and it's so much more like what Star Wars should have been all this time that Disney has been fucking it up. And honestly, I'm kind of bummed that the future of Mandalorian is the sequel trilogy, which I either sort of tolerate in The Force Awakens. It's fine. Force Awakens. I really like in The Last Jedi, and I absolutely hate in The Rise of Skywalker. So knowing that shit is what's coming down the pipe for The Mandalorian kind of makes me sad. I wish it was just more open-ended, but that's where we are.
They could always multiverse it.
That is.
By the way, that's the other bit of news from this week. I just remembered.
Oh, the confirmation that
Alfred Molina
will be in Spider-Man 3, whatever it might be called. Wow. With the speculation running rampant that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield will be,
and Emma Stone and Kirsten Dunst.
Oh yes,
also rumored to appear.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about that other than we got a really great Spider-Verse movie already.
Yeah.
Now they're just trying to make another one.
And potentially do the Sinister Six as well with the series of Spider-Verse villains coming into play, because now you have confirmation of Doc Ock and you have Electro from the Andrew Garfield series. So that's 2. Maybe they bring Venom in. I don't know. That's a sort of strange thing to me. That universe isn't really tacitly related, other than the. Do you ever see the Morbius trailer? Mm-hmm. With Michael Keaton in it. Yes.
Tying those two together.
Jocelyn is lost.
Yeah.
I always thought Alfred Molina was really slumming it in these Spider-Man movies.
He's the best. He's the best. Maybe the best Marvel series villain there's ever been. Of course,
he's one of the best actors working today. It's like.
Well, that's a weird
he's
thing to say.
amazing.
I still think Michael B. Jordan is better as a villain, but I think Alfred Molina is great. I unfortunately for Alfred Molina's character in that Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2 is a great movie still, but he became like the second person in a row to be like this surrogate father figure to Peter Parker that turned evil and then sort of turned good at the end. So anyway,
so that's kind of like dumb.
By the way, do you remember that James Franco was in the Spider-Man movies?
Yeah, he was the rich kid.
Yeah, no, he was.
Back when I still paid attention.
Yeah, no, he was, and I totally forgot. Every now and then I'll remember, like, oh yeah, James Franco was in these.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else before we move on? I think we've kind of exhausted this topic since.
Y'all nerded out enough.
I mean, sort of.
You haven't seen Citizen Kane, but you've seen every Spider-Man Marvel movie.
I actually haven't
Star
seen.
Wars
I've never
ever.
seen. I've never seen The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Cody and I have talked about this on our other podcast.
My bad.
MCU.
But
yes, I've never seen.
You look
Citizen
so
Kane.
stupid right now, Jocelyn.
I've never
pegged
seen
you
Citizen
wrong.
Kane. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move on to reviews.
Here are this week's reviews.
First up, we have Let Them All Talk.
Alice has a manuscript that's due really soon. Everyone at the agency is getting a bit nervous. I mean, I haven't seen a manuscript. Have you seen the manuscript?
I have not seen a manuscript.
For years now, she's been hinting that she's revisiting one of her characters. So I've booked her on the Queen Mary 2 with her 2 friends and her nephew.
Here's to picking up the conversation where we left off. And here's to reconnecting the gang of 3 who we used to be.
Did you always talk like that?
I'm going to start work on my manuscript. Swim at 3, dinner at 7, back on, to work, or bed, or both. I'll probably work in bed.
I kind of feel like I'm spending time with 3 almost like...
Dinosaurs.
No.
You believe Alice and her book determined your whole life?
The consequences on my life of her actions were unacceptable.
Want to go have a drink later? No, I can't.
So this is a new film from director Steven Soderbergh. It stars Meryl Streep, and you see Candice Bergen, Diane Wiest in there, Lucas Hedges, and Gemma Chan. You don't see her in that clip. I think very briefly you do. But this is a new HBO Max film, and it's was filmed on the Queen Mary 2 over a couple weeks. And I believe, Cody, wasn't it mostly supposedly improvised?
You know what? That's a good question. It's a question that I had while watching it.
I believe I read that it's semi-improvised.
It's certainly, well, I'll get into that in a bit, but
anyway,
yeah.
So Cody, go ahead and tell us about the movie and what you thought of it.
Yeah, so it's a movie that's got a pretty basic storyline, which is that Meryl Streep plays a Pulitzer Prize winning author, and I feel like I'm off center here. Essentially, she's being given an award in the UK, and she's also struggling with some writer's block completing her new novel, and she asked a few people to go with her, including her nephew, played by Lucas Hedges, and 2 old friends that she hasn't seen in like 30 years, played by Diane Wiest and Candice Bergen, and then one of her publishers, or is it her publisher or agent? I can't. It's a publisher, right?
It's a literary agent.
Literary agent.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't really know what she's. I can't remember. I thought she was an agent, but maybe
it is an
working
agent
for the publisher. Okay.
Yeah, it is an agent. So she decides to tag along on the trip just to try to get more information about the novel and to try to figure out how to kind of break this writer's block that she's in, that Meryl Streep's character is in. So it really is kind of like a very talky ensemble piece. It's sort of, when you're thinking about Soderbergh, it's a lot like High Flying Bird, the movie he came out with like 2 years ago, I think it was.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, I think so, wasn't it? Or maybe it was last year.
I thought it was last year, but that was a Netflix film that was famously shot all on iPhones.
Yeah. And I loved High Flying Bird. That was a great movie. And I think this movie is pretty solid. I think it's pretty good. I think that, you can tell that it's improvised. And I think that's maybe its biggest fault at times, is that it's very, a lot of times it's basically mumblecore. It's basically Soderbergh made a mumblecore movie where there's only an outline and they're improvising a lot of the dialogue. And a lot of times in mumblecore stuff, especially like Duplass Brothers stuff, it feels pretty naturalistic. This one feels improvised, where there's a lot of like ums and ahs, and like the dialogue is sort of stilted in a way because people are like kind of the wheels are turning. And, when movies are improvised like that and feel naturalistic, I think it's a great thing. But when they feel improvised, I think it can be a little bit taxing. And I think this movie suffers from it just a tad, just a little bit. That being said, there's a lot of good dialogue in here. I think there's a lot of like snappy lines that get to that let the actors shine, and I think it's a great acting showcase for everyone involved. I think everyone's great in the movie. I think standouts include Candice Bergen. I think is really, really good here and plays a pretty complex character. And I think that I enjoy the stuff between Lucas Hedges and Gemma Chan. I think that stuff is really good. And I think Diane Wiest is really... I actually think Meryl Streep might be my least favorite actor or performance in the movie. I think everyone else is better in many ways. And I think that what it comes down to is, with its simplistic story, I found myself becoming invested in watching what was going on. And I think that it becomes a really interesting character study more than anything else, because you see the dynamics, like all the relationships here have interesting, complicated dynamics, and to watch them kind of unfold, I found to be pleasant. And I found to, found myself wondering what was going to happen with these relationships, because you kind of see things like, Meryl Streep's character is trying to connect with Candice Bergen, and Candice Bergen is being avoidant, for a lot of the movie. And to see, then Candice Bergen go and talk to Diane Wiest about that relationship and what was going on. And you kind of just get to see different sides to multiple stories, and I really enjoyed that piece. And then I like that B story between Lucas Hedges and Gemma Chan. I think that's maybe my favorite part of the movie. And then I think it takes a third act turn that I actually liked too. It takes an interesting turn when it kind of settles into its final act and final piece that was relatively unexpected, I think, for me at least, and I think kind of executed pretty well. And I just found myself impressed with the craft of the characters. I thought that every character in here is multidimensional and not flat, and for that, I found it an enjoyable watch.
What did your cat think? I can see her creeping on the edge there.
Oh, really? Where?
Bottom, your bottom right.
Oh.
Aw,
yeah.
Meow.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She gives it 2 paws. I don't know.
You had so long to think of that, and I'm disappointed. Anyway, Jocelyn, what about you?
No, I will speak for Cody's cat and say that we totally disagree. I found it to be uninteresting.
Wait. The cat said he was...
Why are you speaking for my cat?
Mickey, I think his name is. We talked about this, and we just were like, man, Cody's so wrong. This was not a good movie.
Just because you're wearing leopard print, you think you can talk to the cats.
No, I guess I can see what where he's coming from. I think that there wasn't enough story given away at the beginning for it to be interesting. Like Cody was saying, you kind of get these feelings about the characters, but you really don't know why they're acting this way. And there's a big revelation, really towards the very end of the movie, that I think if it had been revealed at the beginning, that this character, the Meryl Streep character, kind of uses people in her life, in her story, I think that would have made it far more interesting, because it would have helped explain a lot of the things that were happening that didn't make any sense to me. Like Candice Bergen, she had this weird like sexual energy, and she was always trying to go after these men, and it didn't make any sense. And then with the context of the movie, it did make sense. And going back, I was like, oh, that is interesting. But they gave it away way too late, in my opinion.
Older women are allowed to have sex drives, Jocelyn.
No, I get it, but I was just like, where are they going with this? Like, why?
I thought,
but also that's explained pretty early on.
I thought she was more of a gold.
Pretty late that they let it go on and on. I think it was like almost the movie was halfway over before they finally revealed that.
I thought it was more that she was a gold digger, not so much.
Right, me too. And I thought, and I was like, this is.
But I think that plays out through the whole thing. I think that's how she ends up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And maybe we're supposed to assume that. But like I said, I just wish that revelation had been made earlier, because for me, that's way more interesting, is the character of Meryl Streep possibly using, her people and the people in her life for her books. That's more interesting to me than Candice Bergen possibly being a gold digger on this Queen Mary ship, which I was a little disappointed by. And then
you didn't like the ship?
Oh, I loved the ship. I will say that is one of the few things that I really liked about this movie, is like how they how they let the sort of everything play out in this beautiful scenery on this like ginormous ship. Like it's as big as a skyscraper when they show it leaving the New York harbor. It's just incredible. And then also I did not enjoy the Lucas Hedges and the Gemma Chan. Is that her name?
Yes.
Relationship. I found it to be awkward and really I found it to be unrealistic and just odd. And then, she was really leading him on, by the way. Yeah, there's that whole thing. And he just in general, I don't think was doing a great job acting. And I kind of told Cody about this. There's a big revelation at the end of the movie, and his reaction was insane to me. Like I think it was almost laughable. I had to go back and watch it again because it was so ridiculous. And then the way that whole thing was played out, I thought was just silly. But then, like Cody said, I didn't hate the third act. Like the revelation of it was silly to me, but then the way it played out, I actually really liked. And then I also didn't like that the third friend. Also, they don't really even say how these people get along. Like they have it seems like they have no previous relationship. Like they were friends in college, but like, why are they all now getting together? It just didn't make any sense to me. And then the third character is just kind of thrown in every now and then. And
Diane Wiest having orgies.
Yeah, she was just kind of stuck in randomly. And then with her Elon Musk monologue kind of thing, gross. Anyway, so all that to say, it was really rather boring and uninteresting in my opinion.
So I'm somewhere in the middle of the two of you. I think it was interesting to a point, and I do think there are some clunkier parts, and I do think that the kind of the overall setup of it, like that her nephew comes along to entertain these two women that she had been friends with for so long, and it seemingly torn the information from her best-selling book, like the basis for her best-selling book from this at least one woman. I don't really quite buy into the setup all the way, and it reminds me of like just excuse me, like a sort of sitcom setup. Like, oh, my nephew's gonna come along and he's gonna hang out with us on the boat. Like, why would this even happen? Like, why is her nephew there with her to entertain these two women that he has no idea who they are? Anyway, that said, once it gets going on the boat, I think it's really enjoyable. There are some stinkers of lines. I think the Elon Musk thing is particularly strange, and that I don't think that really, that doesn't really, I don't understand why that character would say that.
I think they were trying to make it significant, like trying to bring some, philosophical idea to the movie that just kind of fell flat. That's how I took it as.
Yeah. Anyway, so the notion that Meryl Streep's character is somehow some sort of jerk that took, that ruined Candice Bergen's character's life, I don't think is really very much explored either, other than, Candice Bergen is sort of an opportunist and looking to capitalize on this fame, so to speak, that she thinks she has. And I'm inferring a lot of that because I don't think the movie lays that out specifically. That's, I really like this sort of experimental era of Steven Soderbergh as well. Like we mentioned, High Flying Bird was shot all on iPhones. I don't know that this one was. It does have a very digital, sort of hazy look to it at times. But the idea that it was shot like while they were at sea, on the boat for real, crossing the Atlantic.
He mentioned that he shot it all in natural light as well.
Yeah, that you could tell.
Yeah.
And then there's the Gemma Chan stuff. I think it's good until it just sort of become like she just sort of goes away after a certain point, and I don't know how I felt about that part because I really think that character, it's hard to tell if that character for me is supposed to be genuine or if she was being manipulative. Mm-hmm. And I don't.
Well, but see, I think this is the difference. Is that I like the fact that it's. I see that as complexity. That's why
ambiguous.
That's why I said I think that it's got interesting 3-dimensional, multi-dimensional, well thought out characters, because I think there is legitimate conflict with Gemma Chan, knowing that she's 100% there trying to accomplish something, but she ends up enjoying the time that she's spending with this person, and you can tell that she's in a place where she's really trying. She's trying to recover from a relationship, and she's connecting with someone.
Though Jerrod put it perfectly about it being very sitcom-y, like that. Even that premise of like, she's the agent that's going to go there, and then she's going to realize like these are real people, and I feel bad because I'm trying to get things out of them. It's like even that is sort of.
I think the premise is sitcom-y. I think the execution is not at all.
Agreed.
Because I think the premise, even the way that
Meryl Streep as you have these high caliber actors. So
even the fact that it sets up this idea that, because it kind of presents this idea that Lucas Hedges is being kind of pulled from both ends. That sounds sexual. But what I mean by what I mean by that is that you see that he's brought in to watch over the two friends by Meryl Streep, and then he's brought in by Gemma Chan's character to sort of spy on and get information about Meryl Streep. So he's, him being stuck in the middle feels very sitcom-y, but everything that happens after that, I think, feels authentic, and I think it feels naturalistic.
See, I get that setup, but I don't ever really think that was accomplished very well with Lucas Hedges' character. I don't feel like he was being pulled in two directions. And the idea that this literary agent that Meryl Streep's character knows very well would be on the cruise with her. Like,
don't call it a cruise.
I'm sorry, a crossing. It's an ocean liner. That's very sitcom-y in and of itself. And, it's... I don't know that really the surprise in the story really plays out that it's supposed to have. I don't know. It's fun. It's good. I think there's, the improvisational idea of it is interesting. I think it suffers a little bit for it at times, but I think overall it's one of my not as favorite recent Soderbergh movies, if that made sense what I said. But it was still enjoyable enough. Anyway, grades, Cody.
Yeah, I found it to be enjoyable. I liked it as a showcase for acting. I liked it as a good character study, and I think that Jocelyn was talking a little bit about Candice Bergen being the gold digger, and I think that is actually, there's a great source of comedy from that, and I think that she mines it pretty well for comedy. So I'm going to give it a solid B.
Jocelyn?
I don't know. I think it was all kind of very hacky, in my opinion. And if there was other actors, it would have been even worse. But with, like I said, this caliber of acting, it kind of pulled it away from being truly horrible. But I'm going to give it a C+.
Gosh, harsh. I'm going to give it a B. I think it's very enjoyable. I think it's a little lesser than some of Soderbergh's latest stuff, but it was fun. And it's on HBO Max now if you want to watch it. It's an HBO Max original. All right, let's move on to our next movie, Wild Mountain Thyme.
Welcome to Ireland. Once upon a time, there were two farms. The Muldoon farm, where Rosemary lived, and right down the road was my farm, where my son Anthony asked his lonely question of the stars.
Why did you make me so?
Rosemary Muldoon besotted with love.
There's these green fields, and there's us. Whatever that is, it holds me here.
When he says those things.
It's not normal.
I don't care.
You take after John Kelly, and that man was mad as the full moon, drowned himself.
He fell in.
He had a rock tied to his neck.
Rosemary, we're known to each other quite a while now. Would you marry me?
Are you going to leave the farm, Anthony?
I don't see a clear path.
From where to where?
From me to you.
My cousin is coming. What do you think?
It's the finest car I've ever seen.
Get out for the farms, you're an American.
Waiting for that one?
What are you waiting for?
Me, I don't wait.
I do like that.
You should come to New York sometime.
Oh, this is a fine Irish brogue, if you ask me, laddies.
That was good.
Thanks. I ate a lot of Lucky Charms as a kid. Anyway, this is a kind of, if you've read anything about this movie online the last few days, very poorly received, we should say. But this stars, as you can see, Elizabeth Blunt and Jamie Dornan and
Emily.
Emily Blunt.
What did I say?
Elizabeth
Blunt. Emily Blunt. I'm sorry.
James.
What?
James Dornan?
Blunt.
Oh.
Is that what I got?
Nothing.
Son of a bitch.
Keep
now
going.
I'm confused.
Christopher Walken doing a sort of Irish accent. And one of the handsomest mans alive.
John Hamm.
John Hamm.
Yes,
Man,
sir. I was happy when he showed up.
I remember seeing him in person at the Baby Driver premiere. Ooh,
Wow.
Lordy. Salt and pepper beard.
I would have
Shut
died.
your mouth.
I had
Anyway.
no idea, Jared, and I'm very jealous.
Yeah.
I was sitting next to him.
What did he smell like?
No,
Jared,
he
I was sitting next to
sit-
Jared.
he was
While-
next to me.
While he was, see him salivating.
I was sitting next to
Scott Aukerman.
Scott Aukerman, and a seat away from Doug Benson, who I've seen way too many movies with, weirdly enough. Anyway, Jocelyn, tell us about Wild Mountain Thyme and what you thought of it.
Yay, I get to speak about this one. So
We let a woman talk every now and then.
I just mean because this one's pretty out there. So basically, it's these two families that have this sort of shared plot of land. So if Jamie Dornan and Emily Blunt can, marry, then they can kind of bridge the two farms together. But the problem is that the Jamie Dornan character is sort of odd, and they sort of, imply it throughout the movie that he's sort of uninterested in marrying. So you wonder if it's, maybe his sexuality, like he's not, so into Emily Blunt. And you find out what the reason is later. And it's pretty crazy, guys. I'm not going to lie. It is one of the crazier twists of any movies I've seen. I think what's even crazier though is that I did not hate this movie. I thought I knew the twist going in, and I thought this is just going to be a steaming pile of crap. And I found that I really kind of enjoyed it. I would say it's sort of a guilty pleasure. There's sort of a love triangle between John Hamm, who's an American cousin who kind of wants to get ownership of the farms. So then there's this love triangle between the three characters. And that kind of fell flat for me. I wouldn't say that was the best thing. And it kind of takes a while to get going, the movie. I think Emily Blunt really saves it. I found her character really funny. And I found sort of her personality and quick wit between her and Jamie Dornan really sort of exciting and cute. But I wouldn't say that it's a good movie. I definitely would say that it's a guilty pleasure, and that there is a crazy twist that you will feel embarrassed if you're me and now saying that it's not that bad of a movie, because it's really crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if it's so much a twist as it is
you're right.
a revelation.
Revelation.
And the internet's been buzzing about it.
There's puns about it everywhere. Even the review is like, or the preview of the movie was like, something stinging for this movie to come out and blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
it's a real honey of a reveal. Anyway, sorry.
I'm sure Cody has some up his sleeve. I couldn't think of one, but.
Yeah. Cody, what about you?
Well, what can I say, Jerrod? It's a tale as old as time, a classic love story between people with no chemistry at all. Look, I'm not gonna mince words here about Wild Mountain Thyme. I am just befuddled by this movie in every single possible way. I don't know who it's for. It has this weird, like, folksy, slapsticky vibe to it that I just don't understand who the audience, aside from Jocelyn, is for this movie. I don't get it. I don't think any of it's funny. I think it all falls flat. Jamie Dornan is essentially doing like a poor man's Hugh Grant here, and I seriously do not think that him and Emily Blunt have any chemistry. I think it is anti-chemistry. I don't see it at all. It's this whole time it's to me it's like a slap in the face, because this whole time you're sitting there like Jamie Dornan, they're playing up this idea that Jamie Dornan doesn't want to marry, and you're like, what is going on here? Because there's no legwork put in for seeing why he doesn't want to marry. It's just something that they constantly refer to, but you don't know anything about. And then they have the audacity to throw in why he's not wanting to marry, and you're just like, fuck you. like you are, and they play it straight.
You're like buzz off.
Yeah, we get it. Okay, we get it.
Thank you.
You've used the buzz pun twice now.
I appreciate the Jerrod trying to make some puns, because I expected more from you, Cody. I wanted to
Cody's
hear
giving a straight face like I just.
Yeah.
Listen, my puns are none of your beeswax. So,
yay!
Thank you.
See, have some fun.
He's back.
Thank you. I think that it is like an anti-romance movie. I just felt nothing from it, and I think all the jokes fall flat. I think it tries to be like cute and weird, and I think that it doesn't hit on any of that. I think there is one good thing about the movie, period, and it's Christopher Walken. And I think that he gives a, God bless him, with a terrible Irish accent, a good performance. There's a couple scenes in particular, one where he's watching someone sing a song, and one where he's kind of on his deathbed, that I feel like are two really greatly performed scenes by him. Everything else in this movie like sucks out loud. It is really, really bad. And I don't understand the audience. I don't understand what they're going for. I don't understand the tone of it. I don't understand why we're supposed to buy into this stupid romance that's happening. And I just found it wildly off-putting.
I'm going to disagree with you, Cody, in a few aspects, and kind of agree with Jocelyn in a weird way that I didn't hate it, which seems weird to say because this movie is very hateable at times, because it doesn't really have any kind of point to it. Like, it doesn't have, when you say, like, Cody, I agree. Who is this movie for? I don't know. I have no clue who this movie is for. And it has this weird sort of like fakey timelessness vibe to it, where you can't really tell what time period it's supposed to be.
Wild Mountain.
It's Wild Mountain.
See, I used the same word, just like the Marvel thing, and it got that response.
It's a different
from you.
word, because the title is THYME, and you use time TIME. So
yeah, but the Marvel was two different. Okay.
Nope.
I mean, I'll take it no matter what.
I'll allow it. I'm going to allow this.
This happened almost an hour ago, you guys, and you're still talking about it. So the idea is something, I guess, supposed to be some sort of, like you mentioned, Cody, like some sort of Hugh Grant farce, sort of romantic farce, I guess. And it doesn't really ever, like, God bless Jamie Dornan, because I never really cared for him as an actor. And I think he's trying his ass off here to be this sort of comic love interest, but it's just there's nothing there to this character.
It's a committed bad performance.
It is I mean, like there's some funny shit. Like when when he goes to he gets John Hamm plays his cousin, and he gives him a raincoat that's like Inspector Gadget tan, I guess you would call it, and he ends up going to like feed some cows, and John Hamm mentions that the cows don't seem to like him, and he's like, oh, they don't recognize me because of the coat. Like there's some legit like stabs at humor that I think are okay, but for the most part there's just nothing to this. And I do think Emily Blunt is doing a lot of work here that is, you know, heavy lifting, so to speak. But it doesn't really amount to anything, and I don't really understand what the point of the whole thing is. And again, the turn, the reason why he thinks he can't marry, is it's bafflingly dumb.
It's bizarre. On top of all of that,
I thought maybe at least it would be like a metaphor for something, and I just could not. I didn't take that away from it at all. You know?
Yeah. You know, but that said, I don't hate it. Like, it looks gorgeous. Like the Irish countryside that they're in looks great. There's a lot of elements here that would make a good movie, but it just doesn't ever come together, and it turns into I don't want to say a terrible movie, but just like, what the fuck was this thing even? Like, what's this? I know it's based on a play by John Patrick Shanley, who is an Oscar-winning screenwriter. So
I wonder if it helps to think of it more of like these Irish folklore tales, you know? I think it's supposed to be like one of those like tall tales that you would hear in a pub from an old guy, you know? That's how I kind of also saw it.
I don't think so, though. I don't know. I keep thinking of Irish Spring commercial where he cuts open the bar of soap, like, if you'll be fresh the rest of your days.
Says at the beginning, like,
at the beginning, he's like, my name is Anthony Riley, and I'm dead.
Yeah, but then he also says that, like they say in Ireland, if you die telling a story, then you come back. So here's my, you know, it's like kind of like supposed to be almost like not a fairy tale, but almost like a.
Well, I just don't think it ever commits. Like, it's never funny enough. It's never like
fantastical enough.
Yeah.
Well, and also, you know, again, we talk the twist. I don't think can be oversold, because the whole execution of that scene is terrible. I mean, that is a terrible, terrible scene in a movie where she's.
I don't think it's terrible.
I think they were going for like Pride and Prejudice, like, you know, big romantic gesture in the rain, kind of pulling at the.
It's so drawn out.
I don't think any of this is terrible.
Oh man.
But I think it is woefully misguided at times. Like, it doesn't like
for sure. Even the John Hamm storyline, like where like that was totally.
John Hamm is in a different movie.
Yes, 100%.
Like he's just in a different movie.
Yes,
here.
Totally.
Anyway, I think we've talked about this enough. What are your grades, Jocelyn?
Oh, wow. After all that, I forgot to also mention that not only does Christopher Walken do a really bad Irish accent, but it comes and goes. Like, there's sentences where half of them he'll be.
He's just sort of doing a Christopher Walken.
And half of the sentence he's just, you know, speaking normally. So that's also really fun to watch. Yeah, after all that, I'm going to give it a B-.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, which I think is a little too high, but.
But, yeah, whatever. Cody.
Well, I can basically sum it up by a sentence that I have written in my notes, which is, what is the point of all this? Which I just...
It sounds like a suicide note.
Yeah. And I don't understand any of it, and I hated almost every second of it. The only thing that keeps this from being, you know, bottom of the barrel is a couple of good scenes of Christopher Walken. I think it is one of the 3 or so worst movies of the year. I'm giving it a gentleman's F, D-.
Damn. I'm just gonna go with a straight C. I don't have anything terrible to say about it, but it's not a good movie. It's a stupid movie.
Yep.
Anyway, wow, that was a wide spectrum of grades there. That's probably our biggest disagreement all 3 ways in a while. All right, let's move on to our next movie, Songbird.
come into my house.
I'm not here to hurt anyone.
You've already put my daughter's life at risk just by stepping foot in here.
I came to you for help, and you tried to have me killed.
I just needed information because I can't allow anyone to know what we're doing here.
Nobody knows, and no one will. Mrs. Griffin, look, I understand you're just trying to protect your daughter. I get that. Because I'm trying to save the one person left in my life that matters to me. I can't leave here without that pass. Please.
So this film has the distinction of being the first, I guess it's the first, right? The first sort of drama-ish thing based on COVID-19 and the lockdown and getting worse. This is COVID-23.
It's become airborne.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot to talk about here. Cody, tell us about Songbird and what you thought of it.
Yeah, so it's not only the first movie to kind of directly be a response to COVID-19, but it was the first movie that went into production during COVID-19, and the first movie after the shutdown that went into production, produced by Michael Bay, and actually the action scenes in the movie are directed by Michael Bay. I don't know if you knew that, but...
really?
Yeah, according to Wikipedia.
That's interesting. So he only directed certain parts of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Michael Bay directed action scenes for Songbird. So, you know,
that's why you saw Optimus Prime's balls.
Yeah,
in the movie for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
between the legs shots on women and stuff like that. It's a very specific Michael Bayism, but it happens in almost every movie. But you know, boy, this movie's a clunker. It's you know. It has this premise of referencing directly COVID-19, and it starts off with sort of like the bombastic, you know, TV reports about, you know, COVID-19 and the virus, you know, mutating to become airborne and stuff like that. And then it just kind of does away with the idea of referencing COVID-19 or providing any commentary on it or anything like that. And it sort of just kind of leaves it at the door, I think, a little bit. And it just becomes like the basic like survival movie. And basically what happens in the movie is there are certain people who are immune to COVID-19, as they call them, munies. And the rest of the people are basically in lockdown. And if you get kind of scanned every day to see if you have any symptoms, and if you get symptoms, you head into these things called Q zones, which are not explored. You don't really see inside one. You don't really know what's going on in them. It's just a bad place you don't want to go. And so the main character, played by KJ Apa, who we last saw in another one of the worst movies of the year, which was I Still Believe. Is that what that movie was called? Right?
The
musician one.
Yeah, that was that before you were here, Jocelyn? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't hate that movie. That had Britt. What's her name?
Britt Robertson.
Yeah, I didn't hate that movie totally, but it was a rare, like, well-made, faith-based movie.
Yeah,
and you can tell it's a faith-based movie because, like, the parents were played by Gary Sinise and Shania Twain. Like, anyway,
yeah. So KJ Appas basically plays a courier, and when he has a girlfriend that he's never met before, IRL, he only he only talks to her over text and video call and stuff, and basically she lives with I'm guessing his grandmother.
She was literally calling her. She was literally calling her abuelita.
Well, it says Lita Garcia, Sarah's aunt, so joke's on you.
I remember her specifically saying grandmother in the movie.
But I thought she said my Lita also.
She said my
that was
grandmother.
Her name was Lita.
Oh.
Lita Garcia is her name.
I'm telling you, they said grandmother in the movie.
No, I know, I believe you too, but I
remember.
I thought that they only called her like anyway. Whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, it's either her grandmother or her aunt. I don't know. Wikipedia actually says both. So
maybe it might not be a good resource.
So basically, she gets sick, and so he's trying to get one of these immunity bracelets. Which again, the whole idea is to basically get out and potentially put the ones you love at risk of developing this virus. Like that's how responsible the ideas of this movie are. Along the way, you have some other characters of surprisingly sort of well-known fame. You have the people who are running this sort of operation of counterfeiting are played by Bradley Whitford and Demi Moore, which Demi Moore has like a 13-year-old child, and if you do the math on that, she had that child when she was around 45. So
stranger things have happened.
Sure. You also have
there's a housewife who had a baby when she was like 53. So
a housewife.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that?
Atlanta Housewives.
Oh, like I thought you meant like
just a woman. You should have said Real Housewife.
Yeah. There's some housewife that anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah. So and then you also have you get this idea that I guess streamers have become super popular, and you have
they are now.
Yeah. But like that's the main source of entertainment here, because this guy, like, the KJ Appa goes around delivering packages, like listening to streamers talk or whatever. You have
someone would listen to us in the apocalypse like that.
Yeah, that would happen. But then you have poor Alexandra Daddario, who
Alexandria.
It's Alexandra.
Are you sure? About that?
I'm 1,000% sure it's Alexandra.
This is going off the rails.
It's Alexandra, and so poor Alexandra, who gets the.
I think this is the tomato thing.
No, he's right. He's right. He's right. I'm saying he's right. I thought it was Alexandria, but
yeah,
I've been emailing her the wrong name this whole time.
That's why she hasn't been responding. So in a movie full of thinly written characters, she gets the brunt of it, and she plays this streamer who gets stuck in this relationship with Bradley Whitford, where she's somehow, like, this was, I think that maybe this was Michael Bay's influence in the movie, as her character, who somehow becomes like damsel in distress / sex object / she has a weird connection with Paul Walter Hauser in the movie that just doesn't really register on any level. Yeah. And I feel like with the Department of there's this whole thing where the Department of Sanitation are the ones who break in and send people to the Q zones, and it feels like it's trying to be some sort of like ICE parallel. I don't know if you guys agree, but
I don't agree. No,
I thought it was trying to be this like really intimidating force who's breaking into people's houses and removing them and stuff like that. So, all this to say that this movie sort of kind of goes nowhere and says nothing and is about nothing. It becomes this sort of kind of survival movie of trying to make, about a guy trying to save his girlfriend or whatever. But, to put it in this COVID-23 context adds nothing to what becomes like a really average story. Again, the characterizations are paper thin and flat. I'm sure Jerrod has a one example of that I'll let him describe, because I'm sure he wants to talk about it, which is just the stupidest scene in the movie.
I can't wait.
Did you see this, Jocelyn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, paper thin characters with terrible plans. Like nobody has a good plan in this movie, nor do they execute it. Paul Walter Hauser plays like a vet who controls a drone, and he's just like, there's a scene in which he kills someone with the drone, and it's just.
By the way, everyone is connected.
Yeah.
There's like 6 people in LA apparently.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't have a ton to say about it other than I just think it's a really bad movie that would be, that feels like a straight to video kind of vibe to it. And the only reason it has any notoriety is because it's got a cast of people that you've recognized before, and it tries to capitalize on COVID-19 in a way that is really not either successful or relevant or, well thought out. So yeah, it's just kind of a clunker.
Jocelyn, what about you?
Yeah, I have to say, I'm glad Cody hit on the fact that it really wasn't responsible what they were doing, because that was what I was kind of concerned with the entire time. And then also that it didn't make a whole lot of sense. Because then there's like, once the character's girlfriend tests, her grandmother tests positive, they're supposed to be, the sanitation workers that come in and remove them, but then they don't, and they have time to get a badge, and it's like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
That was one thing I was going to bring up. Like, there's this urgency. No, I'm not. There's this urgency to it. There's this urgency to it that like they're gonna break down the door,
Right.
but then they just end up like waiting outside the door.
They're like waiting outside, and they're like texting. They're like looking at their phones or something. So it doesn't. No, I mean literally, you can take it from there, because that's really all I wanted to say was that.
Oh.
I mean, I'm not a huge Michael Bay fan, but first of all, it didn't seem responsible, their plan, and then second of all, it didn't make any sense. So.
Yeah, like the idea here is that this disease is ravaging the world, right? And it's necessary, like it's gone airborne, but there are, like Cody mentioned, there are people that are immune, and I assume that is KJ Apa, poor Craig Robinson, who somehow runs a bicycle courier system in or company in LA that is wildly successful. That's the only thing anyone
like
uses.
Amazon. It's like biker Amazon.
It's a little more like biker favor, I think.
Yeah.
But then like there's some really terrible stuff in there. Like, first of all, that phone that KJ Apa has is called the LG Wing. I looked this up because and there's at least 2 giant billboards at different points in the movie of that phone, like being advertised. Like the first one is when he's playing basketball and by himself, and Craig Robinson tells him to calls him and tells him to hit a 3 for Kobe, and he takes like what would be like a free throw shot, and it's like, yes.
Well, you know what's funny about that in particular is that the movie is constantly trying to date itself. And I don't mean like in a romantic relationship. I mean,
no one took it that way.
Yeah, I got it. But it tries to place itself in this current moment. So this movie is going to be a relic in like 6 months. It's,
Yeah, I mean, look. So, like you mentioned, the process is these people have immunity bracelets, which seems like a wildly counterfeitable thing to have if you have the cell phone technology that can scan you for a virus.
And they almost never scan. They're just like, hey, I'm immune, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like, it's literally just a bracelet. Like,
it's like Coachella VIP.
Yeah, there's better security at fucking South by Southwest, like, and any concert you've ever been to. And then, like you said, Cody, it's the basic plot of it is that he's going to spring his girlfriend and her grandmother to take them somewhere else, to Big Sur, where there's apparently no cases, which I don't know, it's never explained why. Which also wildly irresponsible. Wildly irresponsible, because she's the grandmother is clearly sick, clearly has the virus, this deadly virus.
That kills you in 48 hours.
Yeah. But yeah, so to add to the thinly sketched characters, Peter Stormare is in this film as the Department of Sanitation worker, I guess. He's hamming it up huge. He's basically playing every Peter Stormare character like rolled into one. And there's a scene where KJ Apa's character goes to visit him to get fake bracelets, but then gets stabbed. And then is running away from him through this warehouse.
And then there's a gentleman that
there's a random dude who's
accompanying him,
who introduces himself.
I forgot about this.
Introduces himself, like helps him escape, like gives him a weapon, and then KJ Apa literally tosses him back the weapon and he leaves, and that's it. There's literally nothing else to this character. Like, you don't see him die, you don't see him again, there's no callback to him, like he doesn't come in at the last minute and help. Like he's just like, my name is blah blah blah, I'm blah blah blah, let's get the heck out of here. And then he helps him for no particular reason.
Well, what I said to you was that it feels like John Bernthal was late, like his alarm didn't go off, so they just grabbed a guy who kind of looked like him and said, "Hey."
I don't know. It's like, what was the movie that we watched recently that had who's that actor that was really slumming it? God damn it! There's a scene. He's like goes to someone's house and like babysits the parent. Shit. What am I trying to think of here, Cody? Tom. No, the guy who was in the first Punisher movie.
Oh, Tom Jane. Oh, Money Plane.
Money Plane. God damn it! Fuck! I forgot about. I totally forgot. Yeah. That's what that character felt like. It's just like, here's a guy there to collect like, his $1,200 for the day or whatever.
Yeah.
What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, Alexandra Daddario. God bless her and her gorgeous blue eyes. Is also playing like a whore, also like a hooker. I don't know what's happening here.
Oh, she really does not get a lot to work with here.
and like her and Paul Walter Hauser, their scenes are kind of nice together. Like it's kind of sweet. And they're both like just thankless in this movie. Like the roles are just totally thankless. And Bradley Whitford plays a real like creepo. Like this movie's a mess.
It's a mess.
I feel like Demi Moore's trying to give some Pamela Adlon vibes. Did you get that?
It's just because she kind of looks like Pamela Adlon?
Maybe that was it, but like having these weird glasses for no reason that look like a...
Oh, yeah. Looked like Tony Stark's glasses.
Like having aviator like corrective lenses or whatever the fuck.
Like there's some interesting setup to this. Like I don't totally hate the world building that it does. The idea that that people have to get stuff delivered to them and put in those decontamination things. Like it's interesting.
I totally agree. Especially like living in this current world right now, it's very plausible that it would, get to this, but then what they do with it just isn't good.
But without any real point, it comes off as opportunistic, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, it's meant to be like a scary thing, but then again, I don't really know what the message is at the end of it. Is that that this is all evil? Like, what is this? Is this
well? At least
is this my parlay account here?
It becomes like a Romeo and Juliet thing between him and his girlfriend.
I'm just really glad that we get justice for the maid character getting to go home.
That was also. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
the essentially previously unseen maid character getting a hero shot. She
wasn't unseen.
I mean,
she still, like, not
all she did was be like, all she did the entire movie was go, someone's at the door.
And then Demi Moore is like, we let her go.
Yeah.
Like all like a saint, and then she's there with her face.
Profoundly dumb.
By the way, one thing that bugged me, like Demi Moore had her laptop stacked on books to do her conference call. Like I figured like at this point she would have had some sort of better system for
right, because she's like a professional streamer or something.
Yeah. No. She was the pass dealer.
Oh, right. I see.
Anyway, grades, Cody.
Yeah, I mean this movie, had it not been set in current times and be part of the first production out after the shutdown, I don't think anyone would take a look at, or maybe even say yes to. So I'm giving it a D+. I think it's a pretty bad movie.
Jocelyn.
Yep, I totally agree. There's not a lot of good things going for this one. I'm doing a C-.
I'm going to agree with Cody. D+. This movie is just not. It's just bad. It's just it's not even the premise. It's just a bad movie. Like it just doesn't make sense in its own little universe, and it's just a badly put together movie. All right, let's move on to our next movie, I'm Your Woman.
So I'm supposed to live you don't know where for you don't know how long, and also you don't know if Eddie's okay. Just let me call him. Let him be the one to explain it.
You can't.
You're talking about my husband.
No one knows where he is. You can't call him because no one knows where he is.
Is anybody looking?
Everyone's looking. And they're looking for you, too.
A nice house. Near a park. I like to take walks with a stroller.
This is a film starring Rachel Brosnahan, who you may or may not know is the star of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Is that on Amazon? Yes, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see this movie, but the two of you did. So, Jocelyn, tell us about I'm Your Woman and what you thought of it.
Yeah. So, as you can see, Rachel Brosnahan is sort of going on the lam because her husband is kind of tied up to some sordid business practices, I guess you can say, but those aren't really explored. In the beginning of the movie, they're kind of just moved past pretty quickly, and she's out and having to flee. So you sort of learn more as the movie goes, and it turns out there's a lot more kind of complexity to the relationships between her and the gentleman that's helping her that you saw in that clip. All while she's also a new mother and taking care of a baby that you also see in that clip. I'm
is this
sorry.
Is this what you?
I told Cody, I was like, God, as a new mom, this is exactly what I want to watch. Like my life on a movie, like just not sleeping.
And this was exactly your story, basically.
Yes,
right?
It was. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
on the lam.
Mhm.
You don't know where I am, but I am in the witness protection.
Is that
program.
why you're wearing the camouflage?
Now we know. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this. I felt about this movie a lot like how Cody felt about Mountain Thyme. I just do not understand the point of it. I don't understand who it's for. I'm a huge fan of Marvelous Miss Maisel and Rachel Brosnahan in that role, but I think in this particular role, I did not like her at all for it. It made no sense to me. And I just thought she was really awkward throughout the whole movie. And again, I just didn't see the point of it at all. I didn't like this movie at all.
All right, Cody.
Yeah, this movie is really strange to get a handle on because, I think it's trying to do a couple of things. Jocelyn says, Jocelyn asked, what the point of it is. I do think there is a hint of sort of this being a feminist kind of movie, especially about women handling their own problems and taking, the solution to the problems in their own hands. I think is a lot about what it's trying to get across. I also think it's trying to say something about motherhood, but I don't think that it works. That piece works at all. Because you have it's sort of the way that the setup is that it's a reluctant motherhood, right? A baby is just kind of brought home when that's unexpected, and she takes control and doesn't know what to do. And there's so many things about her being a bad cook and all this stuff.
I don't think it was a reluctancy. Like she had suffered losses, so it was.
But she also said at one point in the diner that she didn't want a kid anymore. That they stopped trying and they stopped.
No, she said when she wasn't able to do it, and then once he did it, she realized that that's all she wanted. It was almost like a defense mechanism to get past all of the loss, if that makes sense.
Sure, but also at the same time, they weren't like seeking because they couldn't. They said they couldn't adopt, they couldn't have a child, so she had sort of resigned herself to not having.
Yeah,
a child.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
So it tries to show something about motherhood, but also the baby's not in it for the last hour of the movie.
She kind of just like tosses it aside a little.
Yeah. And it's weird because the first half of the movie, you almost don't know anything, and you don't know what her husband does, but you know it's a bad thing. And it plays its secrets really close to the vest. And in the second half of the movie, it becomes extremely convoluted, and I think you know too much. And I think that they're explaining the relationships that everyone has, and you're watching just going like, wait, what? How are they connected? What's happening? What's going on with these relationships? And it's needlessly complicated, and it's really convoluted, and it doesn't really register. Like, it doesn't make you care about anyone or anything, I don't think. And sort of the motivations of characters are kind of constantly in flux, and I don't think that adds to this being, I think, a confusing experience. It also has like this. There's a scene where there's one character who kind of gets like ruthlessly murdered, and I feel like it was oddly mean spirited. I don't
100%.
where this like basically innocent character gets like assassinated and executed.
There's a lot of really strange violence in this movie as well. Like the club shooting was very upsetting.
And I think that it's well directed. I think that it looks nice, and I think it looks slick, and I think that a lot of those scenes are well filmed and directed. But it has this strange mean streak to it that doesn't seem to have much of a point. And I just found the movie really hard to connect to initially because it keeps its answers so distant, and then suddenly everything is dropped in your lap and you don't really know what to do with it. And so I don't think that it's necessarily a bad film, and I think that it does have some legitimately gripping moments in it, but it is strangely sort of constructed. And I think at the end of the day, I think that its messages don't really connect very well.
All right, grades, Jocelyn.
Y'all have been handing out the gentleman's Fs, and I don't know if I would go that far with this one. I might though, because I really just did not enjoy this. And I think what Cody was saying is true, that I think they were trying to make some sort of story about feminism and the parts about her struggle to get pregnant. It just seemed really out of place and strange in this kind of a movie. And I think it was all over the place, and I just really did not like it at all. So I'm going to give it a C-.
Cody?
Yeah, I think that for me, it's more of a near miss. I think that it could have been good. I think that it's got, again, it's solidly directed at times, but the story, it's jarring to know nothing and then know so much to the point where it's confused, like legitimately confusing. I think that the second half of the movie is legitimately confusing. So I'm going to give it a C+. I think it's a near miss for me.
C+. And this is available on is it Amazon Prime?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right, let's move on to our last movie, Wolfwalkers.
Wolf, wolf, hunt them far and yonder.
The forest is brimming with wolves. It's my job to hunt them down, not yours.
But we could hunt them together. Wolves, bears, dragons even.
She's one of them Wolfwalkers.
Wolfwalkers?
The one that can talk to wolves with some wild magic.
You can come out now. We can smell ya, you stink. You're a wolfwalker. You're a wolf when you sleep. What? A girl when you're awake. Robin, something's happened to me. Yeah, I can see that. It's flippin' great.
This is an animated film, obviously, that has premiered on Apple TV+. Cody, tell us about Wolfwalkers and what you thought of it.
So I apologize, I guess, Jerrod, for my mic issues that I'm continuing to have.
It's. I mean, you can apologize to the listeners. I mean,
sorry, listener. I don't know how many. There's probably not many. This is a movie, and I'll keep my comments short because I'm sure it's not pleasant to listen to. There is a bit of I appreciate these days seeing 2D hand-drawn style animation, and I think that there's a certain charm to that with the prevalence of 3D animation and Pixar and all that stuff. I appreciate kind of like what feels now like a throwback. The basic story is that a girl lives with her father, who is essentially in charge of he's like a hunter, and is in charge of kind of clearing the area of wolves so that they can knock down the forest, I think was what's going on. I
thought it was just to protect the town from wolves, but
they are going to knock down the forest at some point. I forget why, but
I don't remember.
Yeah, and so basically, the little girl who is his daughter goes out into the the woods, and she has a pet bird, and she meets this little girl who seems to be, part wolf in some way. And so you get this story about the girl's wolf mom is trapped inside the castle. It's sort of like a fairy tale-ish type of story. And, I found myself finding that it was fine. I don't think that there's anything especially impressive about the movie. I think the story's fine. I think the voice acting is fine. And there's a bit, there's maybe some themes here about like, finding your place and being true to who you are and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about it other than I thought it was okay. I mean, I think that, it looks gorgeous, and I think that, the story has some interesting turns, especially with, what the father character ends up doing and the consequences of that. But for me, it was just fine.
Jocelyn, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Cody that it was gorgeous. I really liked the animation, and I thought that there was scenes that were really beautiful. Other than that, it was a good little, animated movie. Was it enough to be a feature film? I don't think so. I wish it had been maybe shorter, or I think it could have been done in a short film format. But other than that, I thought it was really cute. I thought it was pretty. The animation was beautiful again. And then, and I liked the story. I thought it was good. I wouldn't go out of my way and saying like I loved it. I don't think it was bad. I think it was just good.
Wow. Okay. Not a lot to say. I mean, I think I'm going to echo both of you. It looks gorgeous, and there's a certain sort of rough quality to it. I want to say, like, it's clearly computer. All art is done digitally these days. It's not. It's hand drawn, but it's all in a computer. There's some stuff that pops in every now and then that's really interesting, where it gets sort of sketchbooky or like sketch construction-y, like especially when they're wolves, you can see like the circles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a fine little movie. I think it is probably 20 minutes too long, because this thing clocked in at like an hour and 42 minutes, and I think there's just too much. Like, I don't know how many times I can't recall how many times the father character told her like she can't go out hunting.
Yeah. It's a lot of repetition.
It kind of feels like this is the movie. I know Cody saw it. Jocelyn, did you ever see Brave?
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt it too.
But I thought this was a better story than Brave. Brave is weird about bears and weird shit. But I think that it's a good little movie. I mean, it's on Apple TV Plus, so it's an original animated film, kind of coming to a platform that's not really known. Well, these animated films are not really, if it's not Disney and if it's not what is it, DreamWorks and Pixar and whatever else is out there. It's usually some weird foreign thing. And I guess this is sort of a weird foreign thing, but it's it's in English, so
spoken like a true white man.
Hey, they're all white people. This is a friggin' Irish and English movie. This is
they were. It was a lot of French too. I think it was actually French.
But all the characters is what I'm saying.
Oh right, yeah. It's based in Ireland, and
I think it's based in England. Or no, is it based in
Ireland?
Ireland?
In Ireland because
they call them English.
I'm from London.
Yeah.
Like,
anyway.
I'm from London.
It's
Sorry.
You sound like you're from London.
I'm from London town.
It's fine. It's nothing blown away. I do think it's just it kind of overstays its welcome and wears it out a little too much. Also, it must be exhausting being a Wolfwalker, because when you're
when do you sleep?
when you're asleep, you're a wolf. Like, God, can I just fucking rest? Like, but yeah, I mean, it's gorgeous, and I think that's enough of an element to kind of draw in adults. I don't think, we talk a lot about animated films and stuff playing to both adults and kids. I don't think this one plays to adults too much. It doesn't feel like there's much there for an adult, but I enjoyed it. Fine. Grades, Cody.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. It would be an enjoyable watch, I think, if you're looking for an animated movie over the holiday break. but nothing more beyond. I wouldn't expect too much. Like, if we're talking about Oscar-worthy animated films for the year, I don't think that this wins. I give it a B-.
B-, Jocelyn.
I was going to do a B- also, huh?
I know it's between Scoob and Trolls World Tour for the best.
Oh, right, yes. I'm doing a B- also. I thought it was interesting. The little girl that's animated looks just like Saoirse Ronan. Like if she was played by someone in real life, that's who it would be. It looks identical to her.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's a B- for me too. I think it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. All right, that's gonna do it for this week. Next week, Cody, let's make it quick since you're crack-a-lacking over there.
Yeah. So we have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is the last, unfortunately, the last on-screen appearance from Chadwick Boseman. That is a Netflix film. We also have a movie I'm really, really looking forward to called Another Round. It's a Danish movie with Mads Mikkelsen. And it's the last movie he made with this director was one of my favorite foreign films of all time called The Hunt, and so this is a movie that's getting a lot of buzz. I think it's Denmark's Oscar submission. We also have, I think maybe we're gonna try to do Greenland, the new Gerard Butler disaster movie, and we'll find a fourth one. I don't really know because Christmas is going to be a crazy week in terms of what's coming out. So. Maybe we'll keep it light. Whoops.
You call it Greenland? Like Greenland?
Oh, God. Here we go.
Welcome
Greenland?
to the fucking semantics hour.
It's Greenland is ice and Iceland is green.
Look at how you just said it, though. You said Greenland.
Are you quoting Mighty Ducks?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's
that's
just a common
joke.
thing.
That joke is older
say.
than Mighty Ducks,
Yeah.
Cody.
That was in D2, the Mighty Ducks.
Oh,
okay, I'm sure it
wow.
was, but that's not the origin of the joke.
Cody is adamant about this detail.
Yeah.
What? No, I'm just saying that's where it is.
It's the that's where the joke was written. Screenwriters Lowell Gans and Babalu Mandel.
By the way, Disney Plus,
Uh-oh.
Mighty Ducks
Mhm.
TV series with Emilio Estevez coming to Disney Plus.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You're joking.
No.
Wasn't he not in the third movie?
Where
Am I crazy?
He has an unspoken. He doesn't speak he just shows up in the distance, but he doesn't actually talk. I don't think in D3.
I am super excited to hear that, by the way. The Mighty Ducks show with Amelia.
Whatever happened to remember they were doing a Lizzie McGuire and it was supposed to be like sort of adult and then like
what's her
Disney
name pulled
killed
out
it?
of it?
Yeah, Hilary Duff said
Hilary
no.
Duff said it was the script did not do the show justice.
No, no. I thought it was the other way around. Like that Disney didn't like it.
No. Hilary Duff did not want some kind of sanitized version of
Right.
it. She wanted like a more reality based.
Yeah, she wanted it to be more grown up because Lizzie McGuire had grown up.
So she walked.
No. Anyway. Yeah. So if you want to reach us, you can email us at podcast@cinesnob.net. You can give us your Lizzie McGuire takes. You can find us on Twitter at CineSnob, Facebook CineSnobNet. You can listen to our other podcasts, Re-MCU, Rewatching the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have a new episode out, Avengers Age of Ultron, which we both were looking forward to talking about because it sucks. Also, Corn Stream. I'm sure there's not a new episode up, but you can also listen to Cody on the Ramble 5 days a week, something like that. 4 days a week.
4 days a week. Regular Ramble Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Fridays. Ramble Radio, Good Willow Hunting Thursdays. 2 Christmas episodes coming up. The next 2 are going to be Batman Returns and Scrooged.
I remember the other day you were asking me if you needed to watch Batman to see Batman Returns, and I said no, but I said you kind of needed to understand how different and weird Batman Returns was compared to Batman, and I believe that bore out for you. Correct, if I'm correct,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Have you seen those? You've seen those, Jocelyn? I assume Batman and Batman Returns.
Yeah.
Like how
I loved
just
Returns.
Yeah, it's
when I was young.
it's so weird and different.
Like Catwoman was my favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
She was so good. I love that
gross.
movie so much.
Gross. Why is that gross, Cody?
Because it was horny.
That movie is very horny.
It is very horny, and it's true.
Yeah. Anything else before we go? No. All right. Okay. On that note, I'm Jerrod Kingery.
I'm Cody Villafana.
And I'm Jocelyn Duran.
Thank you for listening to the CineSnob Podcast. To read reviews, interviews, and more, visit cinesnob.net. See you next week.